And those are some of the headlines. This is Democracy Now!, democracynow.org, The War and Peace Report. I'm Amy Goodman. Veteran White House correspondent Helen Thomas has retired amidst a firestorm of criticism over comments she made on the Israel-Palestine conflict. Widely known as the Dean of the White House Press Corps, Helen Thomas is the most senior White House correspondent and has covered every president since John F. Kennedy. She made the controversial comments on May 27th when she was questioned in an impromptu interview by Rabbi David Nesanoff, who was at the White House for a Jewish heritage celebration. Nesanoff eventually posted the video on his site, rabbilive.com.
Any advice for these young people over here for starting out in the press corps?
Go for it. You'll never be unhappy. You'll always keep people informed, and you'll always keep learning. The greatest thing of the profession is never stop learning.
Today they're covering the Jewish Heritage Month. Today, yeah.
Meet the president.
And we're any comments on Israel? We're asking everybody today. Any comments
Tell them
on
to
Israel?
get the hell out of Palestine.
Ooh. Any better comments?
Helen is blunt.
Remember, these people are occupied, and it's their land. It's not German. It's not Poland.
So where should they go? What should they do?
They go home.
Where's the home?
Poland.
So the Jews,
Germany.
The Jews go back to Poland and Germany.
And America and everywhere else. Why push people out of there who have lived there for centuries? See?
Oh. Now, are you familiar with the history of that region and what took place?
Very much. I'm of Arab background.
I see.
The video was widely circulated. Ari Fleischer, President George W. Bush's first press secretary, whom Helen Thomas had grilled many times, led the campaign for her ouster over the weekend, emailing journalists who might have missed her remarks, this according to the Washington Post. Helen Thomas issued a statement saying, quote, "I deeply regret my comments I made last week regarding the Israelis and the Palestinians. They do not reflect my heartfelt belief that peace will come to the Middle East only when all parties recognize the need for mutual respect and tolerance. May that day come soon," she wrote. By Monday morning, Helen Thomas had been dropped by her public speaking agency. At his daily news briefing, White House Press Secretary Robert Gibbs condemned the comments, calling them offensive and reprehensible. Helen Thomas, who had a front-row seat in the briefing room for many years, was not present. Shortly afterwards, Hearst newspapers announced Helen Thomas was retiring, effective immediately. They wrote, quote, "Her decision came after her controversial comments about Israel and the Palestinians were captured on videotape and widely disseminated on the Internet." Helen Thomas's retirement comes after nearly 60 years as White House correspondent for United Press International. She was known for asking tough, critical questions in the White House briefing room. She resigned from UPI in 2000 to become a columnist for Hearst. Helen Thomas was a trailblazer in the world of journalism. She was the first female officer of the National Press Club, first female member and president of the White House Correspondents Association, and the first female member of the Gridiron Club. She turns 90 this August. For more, I'm joined on the telephone by former Senator James Aberezek. He's the former Democratic senator and congressmember from South Dakota, the first Arab American in the Senate. He's also the founder of the American Arab Anti-Discrimination Committee. Senator Aberezek, welcome to Democracy Now! Your thoughts on the resignation of Helen Thomas?
Well, Helen has gotten more coverage over this than the killing of the 9 Turkish aid workers who were killed by the Israeli commandos. I don't really understand that disparity in coverage, but I kind of know how that goes because I've been the target of Israeli propaganda myself over the years.
Do you think that her comments for which she apologized were problematic?
No, I don't, to be very honest with you. If you understand what Helen is trying to say is that there are Palestinians sitting in refugee camps all over the Middle East who cannot get back into Israel yet. Ashkenazi Jews from all over Europe are able to come freely, and from America, too. And I think that's what she was referring to. They're calling Helen a racist. There's no way that she's a racist. She never has been, never will be.
I want to go back and play what Helen Thomas actually said, because I just want to be clear, people have heard it different ways. It has been represented different ways on the Internet. But we're going to go back right now to what Helen Thomas said on May 27th.
Any advice for these young people over here for starting out in the press corps?
Go for it. You'll never be unhappy. You'll always keep people informed, and you'll always keep learning. The greatest thing of the profession is never stop learning.
Today they're covering the Jewish Heritage Month. Today, yeah.
Any, meet the president?
And any comments on Israel? We're asking everybody today. Any comments
Tell
on
them to
Israel?
get the hell out of Palestine.
Ooh. Any better comments than that?
Helen is one.
Remember, these people are occupied, and it's their land. It's not German, it's not Poland.
So where should they go? What should they do?
They go home.
Where's the home?
Poland.
So the Jews,
Germany.
So the Jews go back to Poland and Germany.
And America and everywhere else. Why push people out of there who have lived there for centuries? See?
Oh. Now, are you familiar with the history of that region and what took place?
Very much. I'm of Arab background.
I see.
So what Helen Thomas was saying is the Jews should go back, presumably the Israeli Jews. She said the Israeli Jews should go back to Poland, to Germany, to the United States. Senator Aberezek.
Yes. You have a question?
Well, the question of whether Jews should be able to live in Israel.
Well, Jews ought to be able to live in Israel, but not in the occupied territories, because that's what the Palestinians have offered, is a peace agreement, and all the Arab countries, a peace agreement if the settlers would be taken out of the West Bank, and if Gaza and the West Bank were allowed to be part of a Palestinian state. Now, that's the long and short of it. I don't believe Helen really said get them out of the other parts that they've already taken. But I think I've talked to her before. I think she's in favor of myself of a two-state solution, or if that won't work, back to a one-state solution. But the point is, I'm talking about parity of coverage here now, Amy. There were 9 people killed on that flotilla by the Israeli commandos. And that has gotten much less criticism than, at least by U.S. press corps, than what Helen said. And she didn't kill anybody, and she's not about to kill anybody. So there's really a disparity here. I hate to see the whole thing turn toward Helen Thomas only, because there's a lot more going on in the Middle East. Look, the Israelis destroyed the USS Liberty back in 1967. They killed 34 American sailors, wounded 170 more. And there was no coverage simply because the U.S. government at that time put a clamp on the verbiage of the sailors sailing. Since they've left the Navy, they've tried to get their point across, but they were not allowed to talk at that time. So that was to protect the crimes that Israel committed against the U.S. Navy. It's just a disparity. That's my complaint.
But on this issue of Jews going back, she didn't say they should go back to Israel and other places. She said they should. She didn't use Israel as an option. And, of course, she was saying that they, not Israeli Jews or Jews, but it was clear she was referring to them. And that gave people the impression she was saying that.
Now, that's an offhanded remark. I mean, the guy caught her unawares. She probably hadn't thought that much more about it, but I understand what she really meant. They're taking the place of Palestinians who cannot return to Palestine, their home. That's basically what she was trying to say. And I don't think she ought to be hammered because, look, she lost her job, she lost her position in the press club, she lost her position in the White House press corps. That's punishment over the top for what she was really intending to say there.
Well, throughout the 2 terms of the George W. Bush administration, Helen Thomas asked some of the most critical questions in the White House press newsroom. She challenged the Bush administration on issues including the Iraq War, the threat of an attack on Iran, the killings of civilians in Afghanistan, the administration's support for Israel's attacks on Gaza and Lebanon. I want to just play a few of the highlights.
The United States is not that helpless. It could have stopped the bombardment